What up? Me again, back again. Thought I wasn't going to come back again, but here I am, back again, ready to talk some basketball. I talk so much basketball. Basketball should be my middle name, but it's not. So let's get into it. Today, I want to talk about a question that I've constantly debated with my friends and people that I don't know that well, in which I get very heated because I love basketball and I'm always getting heated about basketball. But the topic that typically leads to these arguments is what state in the United States produces the best basketball talent? So, in order to guide this segment of what I like to call a dialogue on basketball, I have found an article or a resource that has the top 10 states in terms of amount of NBA players produced from each state. So I'm going to go through, and it's also going to give me some examples about which players have come out of that state into the NBA. So atop the list, the state that has produced the most NBA players all time is California, which is not that big of a surprise because California is huge. California is also a state where if you live in Southern California or just not super Northern California, you can pretty much be outside playing basketball all year round because in Southern California, it barely rains. The temperature is very nice year round, typically doesn't get too hot, and it typically doesn't get too cold. So you can always be playing basketball. So it doesn't surprise me that much that California has produced the most NBA players because most of us growing up didn't always have access to an indoor gym where we could go and play basketball. Most of the time, the indoor gyms were reserved for organized basketball, or if you had a gym membership to an LA Fitness or an Equinox or a Lifetime Fitness, something like that, right? But a lot of people growing up, they don't have access to that. They just have a basketball hoop in their front yard, or they have, a basketball court at their school that's outside, something of that nature. So if you live in California, where it doesn't snow, doesn't rain a lot, you can really be outside playing basketball all the time. So some of the players from California are Kawhi Leonard, Paul Pierce, Reggie Miller, Russell Westbrook, Damian Lillard, James Harden's also from LA. So you have a lot of good players. You have a lot of really good players that have come out of California. So California is definitely in contention for being that number one state to not just produce the most talent, because obviously by what I just read they have, but producing, the best talent. It's not about quantity, it's about quality. So on to number two is New York, which is only 4 behind California. I don't know if I mentioned this, but so California has produced 442 NBA players. New York has produced 438. So New York is tough. I mean, New York is definitely produced a very large amount of good basketball players. But like I mentioned, a lot of guys here don't really have the opportunity to play outside, year round like you do in California. So that's interesting. But Michael Jordan was born in New York, but he didn't really grow up in New York. So I don't really know if we could consider that. Kareem, born in New York. Carmelo, born in New York. Yeah, all of these players were born in New York, but they didn't really stay there. The only one that I can really see on the list that I'm reading is Kemba. Kemba Walker is, definitely a New York point guard. Naz Reid is from New York, or at least tri-state area. Maybe he's from New Jersey, but he's probably played a lot in New York. Kyrie Irving was from New Jersey or grew up in New Jersey. He was born in Australia, though. So I don't know. I don't know if I would consider New York one of the best states to produce NBA talent. But I do think a contributing factor is the fact that it's so cold here in the wintertime that people don't want to go outside and play basketball. I mean, I used to do it, but like I would be able, if it was like December and there wasn't snow on the ground, but it was cold, like I was out there for maybe an hour and then I would come inside and I would have to like really just like wait a long time until like my fingers weren't swollen anymore. Cause you know, when you go outside and you're playing basketball and stuff, and like if it's cold outside, your fingers kind of swell up. It's hard to shoot, it's hard to play. So I think I'm still leading with California here. Number 3 on the list, Illinois, which has produced 300 total NBA players, of which is Dwayne Wade, Shawn Marion, Fred VanVleet, Andre Iguodala, Isaiah Thomas, Derrick Rose. I don't know why they don't have Derrick Rose on this list. But Chicago specifically is a very, very good spot for basketball talent. Anthony Davis also, I don't know why he's not on this list. They're only giving me 5 people per state, which they're not giving me the best people. So I'm going to start adding people if I feel that I need to bring up people that I know of specifically. And if I know where a player is from off the top of my head, that probably means that they're also a pretty good player. But Illinois, kind of same thing with New York. I mean, it gets colder in Illinois than it does in New York. So maybe they got more indoor gyms there. You got more people playing basketball indoors year round. But, you know, Illinois, Indiana, all of those places, those are kind of all, you know, Michigan, those are all big states for hoopers. I'm sure Indiana and Michigan are also on this list, which we'll find out shortly. Pennsylvania at number 4 with 249 players. You have Kobe Bryant, Wilt Chamberlain, Pete Maravich, Rip Hamilton, T.J. McConnell. Yeah, California's still better, but Pennsylvania's got some good talent. I mean, Kobe's definitely like the big one there, and Wilt Chamberlain too. It's pretty top heavy, but Texas with 210, that's crazy. I would have thought that Texas would have been more because Texas is huge. And, you know, it gets colder there than it does in California probably, but, you know, Texas, you could definitely be outside the majority of the year playing basketball. But notable players from Texas: Jimmy Butler, Miles Turner, Trae Young. I thought Trae Young was from Oklahoma, though. Maybe he grew up in Texas? I don't know. Or maybe he just went to Oklahoma. I thought he grew up there, though. All right, I don't know. They're telling me that he's from Texas. Marcus Smart, Kendrick Perkins. Yeah, I mean, the team from California is definitely washing the team from Texas. Team from Pennsylvania is washing the team from Texas, too. Then we got Ohio, 205. And obviously, LeBron James is at the top of that list. Jerry Lucas. Stephen Curry was born in Akron, I believe. I believe he was born at the same hospital that LeBron was, actually. But he grew up in North Carolina, so I don't really know if that counts. C.J. McCollum, Karis LeVert. Here we go, number 7 on the list, Indiana, 173 NBA players. Larry Bird, obviously the most notable one. Eric Gordon, Gordon Hayward, Steve Alford, Cody Zeller. Well, I guess all the Zellers. There's like 3 Zeller brothers that all played in the league. But yeah, Indiana has a very strong and rich basketball culture. I mean, from the pros to the college game to the high school game, you know, Indiana loves basketball, and basketball players from Indiana typically have that grit. They always want to get better. They have a lot of just the intangibles that you look for in a basketball player. So I'm not surprised to see him on this list. And here's another one, like I mentioned earlier, Michigan right behind him at number 8 with 170 players. Most notably Magic Johnson, Chris Webber, Jalen Rose, Devin Booker, Kyle Kuzma, Draymond Green's also from Michigan. He's not on this list, but That's another big player to, take note of. Number 9, New Jersey. See, so we're really filling in like the tri-state area that I was talking about. I mean, Connecticut's not going to be on here because Connecticut's not big enough, and there's frankly just not enough NBA players from there. I don't even know if I could name 10. I know Calvin Murphy from Connecticut, Hall of Famer. Ryan Gomes, who used to play on the Clippers. Tremont Waters, who's not in the league right now, but he was in the G League. Smaller point guard, like under 6 feet tall. So Connecticut's has some good hoopers, but I guess the tri-state just is. The other 2 states, New Jersey and New York, in the tri-state are beating us out right now. But it's all right. Connecticut's going to have better players in the future. Donovan Clingan's about to f shit up. But back to the article. New Jersey, 152 players. They're at number 9 on the list, number 9 out of 10. So players from New Jersey: Shaquille O'Neal, J.R. Smith, Karl Anthony Towns, Al Harrington, and Dennis Rodman. And then at number 10 on the list with 149 NBA players produced is North Carolina. We have James Worthy, Bob McAdoo, Chris Paul, John Wall, and Zion Williamson. That honestly might be my favorite, little starting 5 that they gave me so far. I like that team a lot. Chris Paul, John Wall, Zion, Bob McAdoo, and James Worthy. That's a crazy team. It's a crazy team. And North Carolina also, just like UNC, has just like the aura of a dope basketball team. And I just love the brand and like them having, Michael Jordan and a ton of other great players, throughout their history, and great coaches. It just, that kind of cements their basketball culture. That's why I'm like, Connecticut not being on here is pretty crazy, because of like UConn, right? Like that's like our biggest thing. Like the men's and women's team is huge there for basketball. Like we're good at other sports at UConn, but like basketball is like our all-time thing. So maybe in the future we're going to see more, NBA players, come out of Connecticut. But until then. But I don't know. What do you guys think? You let me know in the comments below. Obviously after you like and subscribe, because you want to see more content, right? But who do you think, or what state do you think produces the best NBA players? Because clearly from this article we know which state produces the most, but who produces the best? Is it California, or is it another state that I didn't address in this video? Let me know. I'd love to have a discussion about this. Like I said, I've gotten into many heated arguments with people about what state has the best basketball players. I mean, at this point in time, I still think it's California, just because of the diversity of talent and skill sets that they've produced. And, I lived in California for a while, so being able to be outside in December and go and play basketball in a t-shirt and shorts is a very unique opportunity that you don't get in every other state. Something that's interesting, though, is that they don't have Florida on this list. You would have thought that Florida would have had, more NBA players, but I mean, Florida's produced a lot, but, clearly not enough. So, I could think off the top of my head, Udonis Haslem, long-time NBA player, long-time vet in the league, recently retired. Love Udonis Haslem, but, there's plenty of players from Florida and Miami specifically that, I'd be interested to see how many players they've actually produced, Florida as a whole. So yeah, man, let me know what you guys think. Put some comments down below. Let me know what you think about what state produces the best NBA talent. And let me know what you guys want me to talk about next. I'm always looking for suggestions on things I can talk about and things that you guys want to hear. So I'll see you guys soon. I'll talk to you guys soon. Be easy. Take care, like Drake said.